Master Sergeant Yuma Barnett. When I'm in the other uniform, Yuma. In this uniform, for those of you who don't know me, yes, my first name is Yuma. My parents aren't hippies, and I'm not from Yuma, Arizona, which is the first two questions that are normally asked of me when I introduce myself and get people my first name. And I'm the director of the Phalanx program. Between Dr. Finch and the RCO, I probably could have just said that's Phalanx and walked out and been in my brief, but I practiced this with my 12-year-old last night, so by God, I'm going to boot you guys my brief, okay? The Phalanx program, what it means to me is, I'll tell you a story. So I have a lot of these encounters, and this story is not unique. It's something that happens at least once a week, sometimes multiple times a week. I had a staff sergeant from 375 come over to the Phalanx office who he was going to be getting out of the Army in about 6 months. And I have the same questions of everybody that comes to my office that's in that realm. I said, okay, so what do you want to do when you get out of the Army? And he says, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be in charge of my own time. I don't want to have to be listening to anybody telling me what to do, which is, he's somebody who's been in the regiment for about 7 years in one company. I hear a lot of that, kind of the same thing. I said, okay, so now I know that, what's your undergraduate degree in, or what's your education? I don't have a degree yet, but that's part of the plan when I go up to the Atlanta area, is to get a degree and start driving toward that entrepreneurial route. Okay, so with that information, so what entrepreneurial route do you want to go down? Because my wife is from Atlanta. I know a lot of people in the Atlanta area that I can start networking him into so he can be successful in his transition. And he says, well, I don't really know. I just know I want to be in charge of myself when I get out. And so with that knowledge, I kind of always tell him, all right, you have two options really. And if I'm you, my advice would be stay in the Army for a couple more years. Finish your undergraduate degree on Army tuitions assistance, save your post 9/11 GI Bill for when you get out of the Army and you have all that money to get your continuing education, your master's degree, whatever it is. And I said, during that 2 years, if it ends up being 2 years and you decide to transition, we're going to find out who you are and what you want to do. And we're going to help you get on that path and make you be successful when you transition out. And I said, your other option is to get out of the Army. And what I'm going to do here from the shop is I'm going to help you in every way that I can be successful when you transition out. I'm going to start networking you in the Atlanta area. And we're going to start getting you involved with the colleges up there and start trying to find that path for you to be successful. I said, from there, I just need you to take some time and go back to 375, use a little bit of emotional intelligence, find out who you are, sit down with yourself, do the math, and do what you think makes the most sense for you. Let me know, and we're going to help you be successful in any way we can. Because he's running toward the exit door. He's not walking toward it. And I said, walk toward it, open the exit door, look out in the hallway, and make sure you really want to jump out of it before you commit to anything. So he leaves, and about 4 days later, I get an email. It says, Master Sergeant Barnett, I've decided to stay in the Army, finish my undergraduate degree, and do something else. And try to find out who I am so I can be successful when I leave. That's Staff Sergeant Churchill, and he's sitting right back there, and he works with me in the Phalanx shop now. Because all he knew was Charlie Company 375. He took the blinders off of him a little bit, show him, hey, the regiment's a really big place. The Army's a big place. Let's find your purpose. Let's find your why. Let's get you educated, save all that money. And if you want to get out, we're going to make you successful, but you weren't ready at the time, right? Last week, I had 2 more sergeant and staff sergeant send me the same email after they came into my office. And I talked to them about what Phalanx could do for them. And on the reverse side, I've had Rangers say, I'm going to get out. And I networked them, helped them network and talk to former Rangers in wherever they want to go to get them set on the path that's going to give them that purpose that they need in their next life. I don't do this on my own slide. There's a whole team of us down there that do it. So you see all the pillars there that Phalanx is founded on. For our education, we have our education managers at the RCO mentioned. So you have Carrie Estes, who works with me in the Phalanx shop. We have Miss March down at 375, Miss Mathis at 175, Miss Crystal Detweiler up at 275, and Amanda Hauser that has the Army of an RSTV. They handle everything in the education space. So they have placement and access into our buildings and onto our systems. So they're not replacing the Ed Center. They're just hyper enabling the Ed Center to get our Rangers the education that we're now holding them to a standard to get. The human performance pillar, that's where Staff Sergeant Churchill is going to fall in. He's going to handle coordinations of everything human performance, coordinate with RMED, coordinate with battalion medical sections, make sure the travel, the TDY, and everything's getting taken care of on the medical side for these Rangers. So that when you're me and you're at 20 years old, you don't have a Ranger School physical, an Airborne School physical, and a surgery that I had to have. That was it. That was all of my medical records. So try to take care of them better so they don't have to off-ramp out of the organization before they want to because they didn't take care of themselves, or when they do decide to get out, whether that's 4 or 20 years like I will be, they have a little bit more in their medical records and they're ready to transition into the VA system more successfully. And the last thing I'll mention there that we have new, has been there about a month, is Mr. Reynolds Saunders, who's a personal financial counselor. So he handles everything financial counseling wise. And as you know, the Army's in a big transition going to the blended retirement system. So he can advise Rangers individually, companies, and he's actually one of the few out there that can advise the spouses, and actually is encouraged to have meetings with spouses as part of his contract. So that's the Phalanx team. And then you have me in there, and I kind of have my hand in a little bit of everything. And I spend a lot of time in the Ranger for Life realm, talking with Sergeant Major Hall, making sure if a Ranger does want to transition, we get him that mentorship and make sure that he's going to be successful in whatever he wants to do on his transition out. And just like the RCO said, if you can show them how to get out, you're going to keep them in. And it's true, because I see it happen almost every week. Slide. So let's go Phalanx by the numbers. What have we done in about the last 6 months that we're kind of slowing down in COVID and getting to do things? Enrolled 111 Rangers in college. So that's just Rangers through the education counselors that have enrolled themselves in college. Admittedly, that's somewhere we got to get better understanding exactly how many people we have enrolled in school, because myself, I didn't go through the education counselors. I enrolled in school myself. So we're not capturing those numbers. And that's something we're going to look to do in the future by sending out some Frago tasks as part of monthly reports or whatever it might be, so we can better understand who's getting their educations, when they complete them, and that way we can follow up if they want to go get master's degrees or advanced certificates as they progress. We have 115 Rangers. We just crossed the 100 Ranger mark with Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt certifications. Now, this is one of those things we just found out there digging and looking for opportunity. This is a program of record from USASOC where they pay for it for Rangers to get Lean Six Sigma certified. So what's Lean Six Sigma? If you don't know, it's a planning and efficiency methodology that carries over to the industry side. Hopefully, COVID allowing, we'll start getting green belt and black belt certified Rangers, and it's something they can use while they're here and use when they leave, and the regiment doesn't pay a dime for it because it's a program of record. And again, it's just one of those things that's giving Rangers more options. 4, it's a low number, but it's a big thing they're doing there. Executive education. So every university and institution has some sort of executive education part of it. We've had 4 senior leaders complete executive education with MIT, Emory, and Columbia universities. What does that mean, right? So what if that is? We get Rangers into these universities and they see that they add value at the C-suite, the senior business leader area. So a lot of Rangers came from nothing, kind of like I did. I was herding cows in New Mexico as a kid and knew I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. But if you could have told me I could go to MIT or Emory, I would have said, no way, that's not in my wheelhouse. But as soon as you get them in the room, they realize they're automatically given feedback in these big groups. So our first class Sakura is one of the ones that completed the MIT Advanced Design course and was adding value automatically. And I started first class from the raid, attended the Emory Executive Communications course. And again, it just shows the Rangers that they're capable of doing anything at any institution. And they're able to bring that information back and put it down to every level so they can be more successful. And again, paid for by SOCOM. I just have to submit a packet and I haven't had any issues so far. So send me more, please. Says 5 PMP certified personnel. It's actually 10. So we've had 10 Rangers pass the project management professional certification. And coming up soon, we're going to put out to the battalions. We have 15 slots to PMP and 18 slots to Agile that we will now run Rangers through those. And those are, again, certifications that'll help them when they're here and then help them when they leave. Now, we've briefed 1,200 plus Rangers in person or via Zoom about the Phalanx program. So admittedly, we're still having a messaging problem. If you talk, I was talking to First Sergeant Will back there, when you ask some of the guys at 275, it's just college. That's all Phalanx is. We are obviously much bigger than just college. We can do a lot of things for Rangers to help them be successful professionally and personally. I've briefed Rangers on Saturdays, on Sundays, on Zoom when they're downrange overseas. There's a company from 275. I brief every RAFS 1 class, every RAFS 2 class, and I just try to get information out there that I'm giving you guys so that they can take it when they go back and are leaders in our organization to help our Rangers be more successful. And then part of that holistic health, we ran 37 Rangers through our internal holistic health program that is part of RAS 2, and that's what Staff Sergeant Churchill takes over. And again, it's just regiment taking an active role and making sure a Ranger takes care of himself holistically throughout their career. Slide. I'm going to share one more number with you. And it's the reason I came to the Phalanx program. That number is the number of soft personnel that committed suicide from 2007 to 2015. I know some of those people. They walked in our halls. I know some of them that are beyond that number. Spent time with them downrange. And I used to be the one that said they're selfish and they did this and they did that. But now I know they're me and I am them. And the one word that always comes back when I talk to the families of these Rangers, their leadership, their friends, the other Rangers that got out that didn't end up a number here, but went down: depression, PTSD, alcoholism, one word, and it was purpose. I didn't feel like I had a purpose when I left the Army and when I left the 75th Ranger Regiment. Because one day you're here and your cup's getting filled up by a lot of things inside the 75th Ranger Regiment, and you don't realize it. And then one day you're gone. And all of a sudden that cup is not getting filled up anymore, and it's hard. You don't know who to turn to because your buddy's not left or right of you, and you go down a bad path. I truly believe in my heart that this program is going to get at that number, because we're going to help them find that purpose before they leave. And when they step out, they're going to be ready to step out. And we're going to save lives. We're going to save families. We're going to save father-son, father-daughter relationships. And this program, if we, the leaders, do it right, is going to be a catalyst for that. Happy to answer any questions you have. Email me any ideas, anything you uncover. Happy to answer it, and I'll turn it back over to Colonel Fair.